Hi, work wife here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Uh, just wanted to do a quick video today. Happy Sunday. About a post that I wrote yesterday regarding. It touched on when your idea is taken by a coworker, where you're excited to share something with either your coworker and your boss, and they take your idea what to do in that situation. And just to reintroduce myself, I am a workplace coach. I have almost 20 years of experience in the corporate world, corporate jobs, big companies, big tech, medium-sized companies, and unfortunately, the common denominator across the board has been toxic bosses, coworkers, and sometimes employees. And I have amassed tips, tricks, and techniques in order to navigate these difficult situations when you're not in the position to just up and leave and go, screw this, I'm out of here. How do you deal with those situations so that you are not miserable day in and day out? And I have both written and verbal strategies to help you with this. So, regarding the topic, the meme that I posted regarding when someone takes your idea, what do you do in that situation? And it's even more difficult when a boss takes your idea and then presents it as his or her own. It's a difficult situation because you do not want to feel restrained when it comes to brainstorming or sharing your ideas, particularly if it's part of your job. Someone asks you for ideas. Someone asks you to come up with something new or to innovate a process or a procedure. Come up with something new, and you're brainstorming, with a friend, with your coworker, with your bestie, and she just runs with it and runs to the boss and says, "Here's my idea," and especially if it's done in a public forum. That person knows exactly what he or she is doing, because in that public forum and they present their idea as yours, if you stand up or you raise your hand and say, "That's my idea, I said that first," you look foolish and you look like a hater. You look like someone jealous. You don't look good. You look defensive. You sound defensive. And even though you're legitimately defending yourself, it's not a good look. So, let me start with the situation with the coworker, whom you probably believed was a friend, and it's even worse if they're a good friend and do this to you. So let's stick with that scenario where the coworker does it in a public forum. You're not going to say a word. You can allow yourself to look a little skeptical. I'm not gonna tell you not to do that. I tend to do the little eyebrowing and go, okay. I was about to say, if someone, in the meeting, if someone asked my opinion and it was my idea, I would definitely say something then. But, okay, we won't do that. Let's just stick with trying to be cool, calm and cool. You wait it out. You finish the meeting. You stay calm. And then you address it with that coworker as respectfully as you can. You don't flip out. You don't get in her face. You pull her aside and say, "Hey, I'm the one who brought that up to you. We discussed that the other day." Now she's going to do one or two things. She's going, especially if she's toxic, which she must be if she's stealing your idea, because healthy people don't do that. So she's toxic, as you've discovered, unfortunately. And she's going to do two things. She's either going to gaslight you and say, "No, you didn't. You never brought that up to me. I don't know what you're talking about. I thought about that last night." She's going to give you the old crazy eyes, wide eyes, innocent eyes. And you're going to be like, "Wait a minute. What?" Now, do not question yourself. You know what you did and you know what you said. So you're going to say, "Okay, if that's the story you're going to go with, okay, I understand." Now, meanwhile, you're saying to yourself, "I'm never talking to this person again." The second thing you're going to do is you're going to schedule a meeting with your boss as soon as possible. And you're going to say to them, hopefully you have a decent relationship with them, to say, "Hey, I wasn't going to bring this up in the meeting because I didn't want to make Nancy look bad, and I certainly did not want to sound defensive. But that was my idea. And then here's what you do. You provide details around your idea that Nancy did not present. That's something that only could have come from you. And your reasoning behind it, why you came up with it in the first place, what prompted you to come up with this idea, and how actually you're going to execute it. And most likely, Nancy hasn't thought that far. She just wanted the glory in the moment. So she hasn't thought this through. She just stole your idea and she went with it because she wanted the flash and she wanted the glory, but she didn't think this through. It's even better if you have it in writing, like in some sort of, presentation or a quick deck or something like that, where you can back up what you're saying, that you really did come up with this idea yourself in detail. And that's how you present it. Hopefully you have a manager or boss who is receptive to you, who wants, who is fair, and who sees, okay, clearly you're the one who came up with this, and I'm gonna, talk with Nancy, and if they're really a really good boss, they're gonna ask Nancy. They're not gonna say anything to Nancy about your conversation with them. They're just gonna go to Nancy and say, okay, so what's your idea about this? What's your plan for this? And odds are they don't have one. So that's one technique. And the other example I was going to give, if she didn't gaslight you, and she said, yeah, I did take your idea. I thought it was great because I needed one, and I'm sorry, I panicked and I took yours. In that situation, you could have a little bit more understanding, if you choose to, for, at least she's being honest about taking your idea. But it still doesn't prevent, it doesn't help the fact that you have to go to your boss and tell the truth. You could just be bold and tell her, Nancy, hey, you know what? Okay, well, I'm glad you admitted it, but, hey, guess what? I'm going to talk to my manager about this and say that it's my idea. She may flip out at that, but at least you're being upfront and honest about what your plan of attack is going to be. So that's really the best way to attack this kind of situation. Now, okay, let's go into the boss taking your idea. This is more difficult because you cannot confront your boss on this. He or she knows exactly what they're doing. And more often than not, it's because they're being pressed. It's always a pyramid with this nonsense, right, of toxicity, and it trickles right down. Whereby, if your boss, your boss is toxic, so he stole your idea, right? The boss is being pressed by their management about coming up with the idea. The boss has none. So he sees your idea and just thinks it's amazing and runs with it and then presents it in a public forum. And then what are you going to do then? Again, you're not going to flip out about it. You can't. But it's more difficult to then go to that same boss afterwards and say, hey, man, that was my idea. That's much harder to do. If you have the confidence and the sense of security and the knowledge that you're maybe on your way out after you do this. So don't press this red button unless you're absolutely ready to bail. You can respectfully talk to your boss and say, hey, I was a little surprised. Imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise that you took my idea. I'm laughing because imagine my surprise. It seems to be a common phrase amongst executives, but anywho. You could just turn it back around on them and say, imagine my surprise that I saw my idea being presented in your PowerPoint. Is there anything that you would like to tell me? Now, again, they're going to try to gaslight you and just say, well, I expanded upon it and I, this, that, and the other. This is more, or they're going to gaslight you, and say you never did that. This is more complicated. And this may be a strong signal for you to prepare to get out of this situation and leave this particular boss and move on. Because this behavior is not going to fix itself. It's going to only get worse. And what it's going to do is erode any trust that you had for that boss, so that when you're in one-on-ones and you're in brainstorming sessions with that boss, you can no longer trust that boss to give you credit for the work that he should or she should. So without trust, without mutual trust, mutual respect, this relationship is going down in flames. So, this is a more complicated situation that I think requires more customization. So this is where I would come in, and then I would understand, okay, what's the background? What's been your relationship with this manager? How long have you worked for this manager? What's your history with this company? What's their history with this company? Are they brand new? Because sometimes your manager is brand new to the company and they're feeling the pressure to perform. So they are under the gun and they need to come up with something fast. Not making an excuse, but it's something to consider. So this is where I would probably come in, and then I would help you through the situation, tell you how to write an email if this back and forth is in writing, which you ultimately should do because you want to document that this was your idea. So in a way that we can work on together. So in that situation, I would definitely address it verbally, but if you have a manager who won't admit to it or is trying to gaslight you and you know it's going to happen over and over, I can definitely, as a workplace coach, I can help you navigate that, either trying to work through the situation and the relationship, or help you move on and market your skills for the next position. So I hope this helps. This was something that I definitely dealt with a number of times throughout my professional career, and so there are many permutations to this that I can definitely relate to. Again, if you like this content, feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And, until next time, feel free to message me on Instagram or email me at theworkwifellc@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to help. See you next time.